بسم الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وهدى وتقا ورشادا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا تسمع. نعوذ بك اللهم من هؤلاء الأربع. أما بعد، فحياكم الله جميعا في شرح الصرف الميسر المؤلف للشيخ عبد الشكور معلم عبد الفارح حفظه الله. وقد انتهينا في الدرس الماضي من اسم الكثرة، وأنا أريد أن أسألكم كيف تفرقون بين اسم المكان واسم الكثرة؟ طبعا اسم الكثرة we gave an example، يعني for example مأسدة or يعني مسبعة، يعني أرض مأسدة أي كثير الأسد وكثيرة الأسد، وأرض مسبعة أي كثيرة السبع. الإشكال كيف نفرق؟ هل هذا اسم مكان أم هو اسم كثرة؟ How will you differentiate and distinguish between اسم كثرة and اسم المكان? What is the main difference between اسم المكان and اسم الكثرة? The wazn is pretty much similar, but there is one little difference that is important. اسم كثرة has a تاء مربوطة at the end. That is the case with a lot of أسماء المكان as well. This اسم مكان يعني generally doesn't tend to have a تاء مربوطة, but a lot of اسم مكان or أسماء المكان they have تاء مربوطة at the end. مقبرة، مدرسة، ثروة، ملحمة. Look at the تعريف of اسم or look at the صياغة. In the صياغة of اسم الكثرة there is one شرط that is against the or that is opposite to the شروط of اسم المكان. in the صياغة يصاغ اسم الكثرة من الاسم الثلاثي الأصول الجامد على وزن مفعله. One word that is different from the ضوابط for صياغة of اسم المكان. There is one little detail here. اسم الكثرة is derived from الاسم الثلاثي الأصول الجامد. Three things is derived from اسم ثلاثي الأصول has three root letters and it's جامد. Which one is the most important here? That makes the اسم الكثرة stand out from اسم المكان. جامد، ممتاز. It is derived from something that is جامد. On the other hand, اسم المكان is derived from يعني the مشتقات that is the أفعال, right? يعني اسم المكان is always derived from the فعل. اسم الكثرة is always derived from words that are جامد. And if you remember we did يعني جامد المشتق and how يعني مشتقات are those and they are derived from the مصدر according to the بصريين, and we derive from the فعل الماضي، مضارع، أمر، you know اسم الفاعل، اسم المفعول، الصفة المشبهة، أفعال التفضيل، صيغة المبالغة، اسم المكان، اسم الزمان، اسم الآلة, etc. etc. All of these are derived from the فعل or from the مصدر, and these are called مشتقات. On the other hand, we have jamid, and jamid is something that is not derived from, it's either the masdar itself, according to the Basriyin, or it's something that is not derived from any kind of a fi'l. So for example, asad, do you know of a fi'l related to asad? That is a lion? No. There is nothing, it's not being derived from a fi'l. Yes, maybe later on you can force derive a fi'l from this ism, but generally there is no fi'l for asad, right? Likewise, for example, if I tell you rajul, generally rajul doesn't have any fi'l, right? يعني كذلك مثلا لو قلت لكم قلم doesn't have any fi'l, right? كذلك أقول لكم يعني أرض doesn't have any fi'l. تمر doesn't have any fi'l. Names of the fruits generally, these are all أسماء جامدة. باب مثلا كذلك يعني. So the asl with regards to all of them is jamid, and it's not derived from af'al. They're not derived from af'al. But on the other hand, if you have something like kitab, this is derived from kataba. So this will not be jamid. This will be mushtaq. Okay. Here we have a question, and that says, what is ism al-zaman derived from? Is it derived from masdar, or is it derived from the fi'l? The ism al-zaman is derived from, according to the Basriyin, from the masdar, just like the rest of the af'al. And according to Kufiyin, the asl with regards to all of the mushtaqat is the fi'l. So according to them, we'll say that it has been derived from the fi'l. But anyways, whatever the case it is one of the mushtaqat. It's not jamid. But ism al-kathra is derived from a jamid, from asad, from tufah, from arnab, right? Ta'lab, aqrab, all of these are asma جامدة, not مشتقة. اسم كثرة, technically you can consider technically mushtaq, but it's mushtaq because it's technically speaking mushtaq because it is being derived from something else. But when it comes to the terminology, will you be considering this from the mushtaqat? لا أدري. Because when we use the word mushtaqat mutlaqan, in the absolute sense, we refer to those things that are derived from the fi'l or from the masdar. As we made a list of them, and you should also, all of you should make a list of those mushtaqat, so that you always remember different kinds of mushtaqat. You should always have it in your mind. So you start off from masdar, then according to the Basriyin, masdar, and then fi'l madi, amr, mudari', then اسم الفاعل, اسم المفعول, صفة مشبهة, صيغة المبالغة, أفعال التفضيل, اسم الآلة, اسم الزمان, اسم المكان, مصدر ميمي. All of these are important to remember. نعم. لكن I'm not sure if we say that in the absolute sense, اسم الكثرة, sorry, if we say that mushtaqat generally, if you mention, will you be mentioning ism al-kathra within them? Not sure. Because generally when the term mushtaqat is used, we refer to the mushtaqat of the fi'l. And this is mushtaq from ism jamid. So, not sure. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, now ننتقل الآن إلى المصدر الصناعي. المصدر الصناعي is قال المصدر الصناعي تعريفه اسم تلحقه ياء نسبة مشددة وتاء تأنيث للدلالة على معنى المصدر نحو وطنية ومسؤولية وبشرية وإسلامية. This is called مصدر الصناعي. Why is it called مصدر صناعي? It's a مصدر that has been sort of made up. It's not naturally a masdar, but you have made this a masdar. How do you make it a masdar? You take any of the mushtaqat, any word, and you add to it ya'un nisbah just like ياء النسبة you have مكي مدني نيجيري. These ياء النسبة you take it, you put it along with it like in وطني like we have done with وطنية, and you add to it إتاء مربوطة as well. طيب, what is the meaning that it ends up giving? It gives you the meaning of, for example, وطنية. What is the meaning of وطنية? Well, how do you translate it? Yes, وطنية is patriotism or nationalism, right? So, this you can say this feeling or this kind of I'm not sure what exactly it is, and it related to the watan, and this whatever this is related to the watan, this nationalism, patriotism, because it is in relation to the watan. So wataniya is referring to nationalism or patriotism. طيب, مسؤولية. مسؤولية. What does مسؤولية refer? It's taken from مسؤول. مسؤول is someone who is responsible. So the trait of being responsible. The trait of being responsible, what is it called in English? The trait of being responsible, responsibility. So مسؤولية is responsibility. Now, you will start getting a sense of how this is being used. So مسؤول is a person who is asked questions, and because he's responsible for something. And مسؤولية is the trait of being مسؤول. The trait of being مسؤول. Understand? Likewise, for example, similar to this is إسلامية شيء أو إسلامية أناس. إسلامية, the trait of being what? يا شباب, إسلامية, the trait of being Islamic, right? The trait of being Islamic. This is إسلامية. بشرية. طبعا بشرية is a little different from the rest. And بشرية generally refers to the bashar, right? So بشرية is referring to the trait of being a bashar, and generally we use it as a noun that refers to the mankind in general. بشرية. So يعني المصدر الصناعي is generally يعني when it comes to the تعريف, we would say that it's something that has a ya nisba with it and ta marbuta at the end, and it gives you the meaning of some kind of masdar, but it's not necessarily, there's no one methodology of what meaning it will give you. Yes, but there are things that I can maybe we can use to get a sense of no, the masdar صناعي cannot be a sifa. When it is sifa, then it will be called sifa. It won't be called masdar صناعي. For example, إسلامية, if you're using it as sifa for madrasa, you say المدرسة الإسلامية أو الحروب الإسلامية أو مثلا, if you're using it as a sifa, then it will be considered a sifa, not a masdar صناعي. Masdar صناعي is used on its own, without anything before it. مسؤوليته, هذه مسؤوليته, this is his responsibility. الوطنية شر, nationalism is evil. البشرية جمع for example تذم مثلا القتل بغير حق, all of the humankind they condemn the killing of innocent people مثلا for no reason. مثلا إسلامية شيء أو إسلامية حزب, the trait of them being Islamic. You see, so here it must be used on its own. Other examples will make it more clear to you. For example, you have حرية. Heard of the word حرية? حرية. the trait of being a hur. What is hur? The trait of being free, hur. So hurriya is referring to, in other words, freedom. So there is, yani, just to bring it closer to the concept, closer to your minds, yani, you can use with Masdar Sana'i this, and for English, you can use مثلا trait of being. Or in Arabic you can مثلا say كونه حرا. وتقول يعني حرية is كونه حرا. مسؤولية كونه مسؤولا, or the trait of him being responsible. وطنية طبعا it has taken a different meaning in somewhat, because now it's more of patriotism than the fact that it is a watan. So instead of now taking the meaning that the fact that it is a watan, or the trait of being a watan, وطنية هذه الأرض, that the trait of this land being considered a watan, instead of taking this meaning, it has been, now it's taken a different meaning, that is nationalism, patriotism. Likewise, bashariya, generally it would have meant the trait of being bashar. The trait of being bashar. That would have been the original meaning, but now it's used in the meaning of mankind itself, of bashar itself. Islamiyya, the trait of being Islamic. Islamiyatuhu, the trait of being Islamic, depends how it's used. Well, other examples, like we gave the example of hurriya. Likewise, jahiliya. Al-jahiliya, the trait of being ماذا يا إخوان? The trait of being what? Of jahil. ممتاز. Trait of being jahil. In other words, كونه جاهلا. كونه جاهلا, being jahil. Being jahil is jahiliya. Right? So jahiliya is called jahiliya because the people in that time were juhala. Why? They say that this jahl that we refer to as jahiliya is not the jahl that is opposite to ilm, rather it is the jahl that is opposite to hilm. Hilm. What's the meaning of hilm? Hilm means forbearance. Not being haste in carrying out your actions, or implementing your decision, etc. Being having forbearance in your matters. So they say that this jahiliya was opposite to hilm. Why? Because in that time, for example, a very small dispute could, can start off a huge war between two tribes, and they would, keep fighting for years and years because of a small dispute that was, between two tribesmen, right? So they didn't have any hilm. They wouldn't think much about what they are doing. They would just go into it. So they say that this jahl was against the hilm. That's why it was called jahiliya. It's just one take over of why it was called jahiliya. So likewise, for example, al-insaniya. What is the meaning of insaniya? Ahsan, the trait of being human, being humane. So insaniya generally refers to being humane, and sometimes it can refer to the whole of the mankind, just like bashariya, and sometimes it refers to the trait of being humane and being a human, having empathy for the rest of the humans, the insaniya. يعني even I think in Urdu also we can use it يعني this as in the same way. In fact, I've noticed that in some other languages like Urdu, they have a tendency of deriving a lot of masdar صناعي, a lot of masdar صناعي. They sometimes they don't derive any masdar, rather they just take اسم الفاعل or اسم المفعول and then they make a masdar صناعي out of it. Even حرية is there in Urdu, حرية. I think there is this political party in Kashmir, and they call Hurriyat something. So that's from this Hurriyat, freedom. That's a freedom struggle that they're doing there. They call Hurriyat. Likewise, Insaniyat, there is there in Urdu. There are a lot of other examples as well. Right now, I can't really recall any in which the masdar صناعي is being applied, but subhanallah, some of the things, the nature, no. And that's not. Insaf is a word from Arabic, طبعا. Insaf, and it refers to justice itself, yes. But now, but generally they translate the name of this as عدل, حركة العدل. وطنية, little bit وطنية, is it allowed in Islam? See, as long as وطنية is not going against, it's not causing us to do take actions that are against Islam, then that only that amount is allowed. For example, it's natural to have love for the place that you belong to, or the family that you belong to, the background that you come from, etc. It's natural to have a certain amount of love for it. But as long as that love is not causing us to do something that is haram, then it is fine. This will be considered natural love. But as soon as that love is causing us to do something that is haram in Sharia, or causing us to break the unity of the ummah, for example, giving preference to people who belong to your country or your land or others, etc., unjustly, all of this will be condemned. Also, for example, promoting a lot of the national identity, promoting it too much, such that it would hurt the ummah and the unity of the ummah, and would the rest of the ummah would feel excluded and sidelined, and this is also incorrect. There should be greater focus on the Islamic identity of the ummah than there is on the national identity. The national identity should only be there for as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We divided you into nations and tribes so that you can know each other. So generally, the national identity helps one to be introduced to another, to know some traits, some characteristics of the other people, because they belong to a particular nation. So if someone says he's from a particular country, you would understand that he has a particular culture, etc. But if he starts becoming, sort of expressing pride over it, and such that he considers others lower than him or lesser than him, then all of this will be un-Islamic and against the Sharia, and this part of the Wataniya will be impermissible. So the belonging to a particular nation doesn't make you better than the rest of the Muslims. لا فضل لعربي على عجمي. Generally speaking, okay, maybe we can say the Arabs generally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them fadl over the rest. This is generally speaking, but just doesn't make a single particular Arabi better than an Ajami. So this kind of a feeling shouldn't be there because they belong to a particular country and better than another. There shouldn't be this ridiculing, mocking, or belittling of people from other backgrounds, and this shouldn't be a cause for the disunity of the ummah. And it shouldn't be at the expense of other Islamic values that are extremely important. A lot of times when Wataniya is promoted in the name of permissible wataniya, it ends up hurting the Islamic identity. Ends up hurting the Islamic identity, and people start valuing the national identity more. This is dangerous because, for example, then we lose the purpose. We lose why we are here. We lose a lot of glory that we can attribute to ourselves because of being Muslim. Let me give you an example of, for example, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, if they promote wataniya, they only have a history of less than 100 years, 92 years, or little more than that when the first Saudi kingdom was formed. But there isn't much to stand for. I mean, what there wouldn't be any you can say value of the culture that they belong to, because if they try to give it value, it's just a bunch of notions that people have gathered upon. That is what culture is. But when you attribute yourself to Islam, then Islam is a set of teachings that have been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is substantial, it has some kind of substance in it. But national identity doesn't have any kind of substance. Why are you proud of wearing a particular clothes, any type of clothes? Why? Because people in a particular land, they just happen to wear this kind of clothes. Okay, so can it be changed? Yes, it can be changed. So what is there to be proud about? And there isn't any substance in the national values, unless and until it is something that is supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, endorsed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the general things, a lot of masail related to nationalism. So it's generally, it shouldn't be promoted too much, but having national love for the watan you belong to, that's fine. Well, there shouldn't be too much mention of it. Okay, we have another, for example, jahiliya, insaniya, hurriya, mas'uliya, bashariya. I had another one in mind, subhanAllah. That's it. Okay, in Urdu, I think one of Taha, I think we suggested, فرعونية. مثلا, he says, فرعونية, the trait of being like Fir'aun, right? فرعونية. So this is also, I don't know how much it can be used in Arabic, but it is being used in Urdu. طيب, ننتقل الآن إلى اسم المصدر. اسم المصدر لحظة. طيب, قال اسم المصدر تعريفه الاسم الدال على معنى المصدر. Same اسم, it indicates the same meaning of the masdar, but it is not technically the masdar. Ism al-masdar gives the meaning of the masdar, but it's technically not the masdar. Why is it technically not the masdar? They mention a number of reasons for that. They say because الناقص عن حروف فعله, it has lesser number of letters compared to its fi'l. دون تعويض أو تقدير, without there being any compensation made for it, or without there being any تقدير, some kind of imagining that there was a letter here or that was محذوف for some reason, etc. نحو طلق طلاقا, تكلم كلاما, أخبر خبرا, سلم سلاما, أنبت نباتا, أعطى عطاء, ونحو ذلك. طيب, now what is the masdar of طلق? The real masdar of طلق. فعل علم تطليقا, طلق تطليقا. طيب, now if you are going to apply this definition, there'll be a lot of difficulty here. For example, we say طلق تطليقا. Okay, we had an extra lam in the fi'l, and that lam, okay, it's not there in the masdar, but there is a ya instead in the masdar, or there is a ta there in the masdar. So it's being, compensated for. But someone else might come in and say, no, so that's the same case with talaq as well. There is an extra alif, so that can be considered as a compensation for the lam. So instead of, obsessing with this ta'rif of ism al-masdar, focus on the following. Focus on the standard masadir of each one of the ثلاثي مزيد فيه. See, we don't have standard, as such a standard masadir for the thulathi. But for ruba'i, khumasi, sudasi, we have standard masadir. Anything out of the standard masadir is ism al-masdar. So طلق, the standard masdar is tatliqan. Salla, standard masdar should be tasliyatan. So صلى صلاة, salat will be ism al-masdar. طلق طلاقا, talaq is against the standard masdar, that is tatliq, so it will be considered as ism al-masdar. تكلم, تكلم, what is the standard masdar of تكلم? تفعل, تعلم, يتعلم. تكلما, أحسنت, تكلم, يتكلم, تكلما. Kalam is against the standard masdar, so it will be considered as ism al-masdar. أخبر, يخبر, أكرم, يكرم. What will be the standard masdar of أخبر? إخبارا. So خبرا is not the standard masdar, so it will be considered as ism al-masdar. سلم, يسلم, علم, يعلم. What is the standard masdar of سلم, يسلم? تسليما. So سلاما, it's against the standard masdar, consider it as ism al-masdar. أنبت, ينبت. What will be the standard masdar of أنبت, ينبت? إنباتا, ممتاز. أكرم, يكرم, إكراما, أنبت, ينبت, إنباتا. So نباتا is not the standard masdar, hence it's considered as اسم المصدر. أنبت وأنبتها نباتا حسنا, يعني أنبتها إنباتا حسنا. أعطى, يعطي, similar to it. What will be the standard masdar of أعطى, يعطي? أعطى, يعطي, إعطاء. إكراما, أكرم, يكرم, إكراما. أنبت, ينبت, إنباتا. أعطى, يعطي, إعطاء. عطاء is not the standard masdar, hence it will be considered as اسم المصدر ونحو ذلك. So it's when it comes to the thulathi, you can't really differentiate between اسم المصدر and masdar. It doesn't have standard masadir, the thulathi. But ruba'i, khumasi, sudasi, these all that have these additional letters, or generally even if it's ruba'i mujarrad, they all have standard masadir. For akrama, we have a standard masdar, akrama, yakrimu, ikrama. شارك, يشارك, مشاركة, وفعالا, قاتل, يقاتل, قتالا, ومقاتلة. two standard مصادر. علم, يعلم, تعليما. تكلم, يتكلم, تكلما. كذلك مثلا تقاتل, يتقاتل, تقاتلا. كذلك احمر, يحمر, احمرارا. كذلك مثلا هناك أمثلة أخرى كثيرة. So the point being, if it is not the standard masdar, then it will be considered ism al-masdar. So for example, if we have for zalzala, I gave you example of صلى يصلي, صلى يصلي, tasliyatan, that will be the standard, and salatan will be the ism al-masdar. We have an example here of zalzala, يزلزل, زلزلة, standard. زلزالا, standard. If you know دحرجة, دحرجة, دحراجا. And we have زلزالا. So this is standard. This is standard, قياسي. And this will be ism al-masdar. Ism al-masdar. Likewise, waswas, They say this is the اسم المصدر of وسوس يوسوس وسوسة ووسواسا. So waswas, they say, is the اسم المصدر. كذلك So when it says to shaitan in the Quran, وَمِن شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ, it's being used as اسم المصدر. يعني, so waswas will be the يعني, usage of masdar for اسم الفاعل. يعني, someone who يعني, as if he himself is the waswasa. He's so much he's so much into waswas and so much into whispering into others that he himself is considered the waswasa. This is the meaning of شر الوسواس الخناس. That's why shaitan is called al-waswas. Now here, there is one important thing that they mention, and with that, inshallah, we'll end to this lesson. And that is that sometimes they say that ism al-masdar and masdar have a little bit of a difference in the meaning. They say that the masdar, we have mentioned this before in the tafsir as well, I think once, that the masdar is the process of carrying out the fi'l. And they sometimes say that the ism al-masdar is the result, the effect of that fi'l. Farqun daqiq, sometimes they mention it. They say that the masdar is the process. Salla yusalli tasliyatan, process of praying, salatan, that effect, that fi'l that happened, that units of prayer that were performed, that will be called salat. طلق يطلق تطليقا. تطليق is the process of giving talaq, the words that were spoken, the talaq that was uttered, pronounced, it will be considered as the ism al-masdar. تكلم يتكلم تكلما, the process. Kalam is the very speech, the very effect, the very words that he spoke, kalam. أخبر خبرا, just like you can notice in khabar. Khabar is, we use it for the very news, very information that is given itself, we call it khabar. And ikhbar is the process of giving that information. So that information itself, al-mukhbar bihi, generally, very often you use ism al-masdar, you can use it often in the meaning of the ism al-maf'ul. Often you use it in the meaning of ism al-maf'ul. Akhbara khabaran, al-mukhbar bihi, that thing that you have informed of will be called khabar. Sallama salaman, the very pronounced taslim will be called salam. Taslim usually will be the process of doing that. A'ta, ata'an. A lot of times, ata is used for the mu'ta, thing that is given. So you use then the gift that is given, like a perfume that you give to someone, or let's say, generally, you call it مثلا ata. That is the very perfume. مثلا as a gift that you're giving is called ata. And i'ta is the process of doing it. So very often ism al-masdar is used in the meaning of, you can say, the ism al-maf'ul, or the effect that fi'l has had, that the fi'l has produced. So this is something that they mention. زلزل يزلزل زلزلة زلزالا. They say that zilzal and zalzala is the process, and zalzal is the very effect, the shaking that has happened. Wallahu a'lam. Ism al-masdar from thulathi abwab, as far as I know, that there isn't any ism al-masdar from thulathi abwab, but I have to just double check it. Inshallah, I will double check it and بإذن الله تعالى get back to you on this. بإذن الله. نقف هنا ونكتفي بهذا القدر. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.